my friends, I have a Peavey Mystic, which I got from Goodwill. One of 7 guitars I got this week. Lots of things coming in and out of the shop. Haven't been on YouTube in a while. I just don't get to do it very much anymore, unfortunately, but I thought this would be kind of fun to film. So you see we have a broken nut. It's just a plastic nut that comes on the Peavey Mystic, which is an 80s axe made in the USA. And this one needs some love. So I thought we would look at replacing the nut. Don't worry, these were down-tuned and old. And I have some options. So I have a brass nut, which I'd kind of thought about going with. And I also picked up a plastic one that looks just like it, like the old one. Obviously, it's very high. I have a coconut here helping. So we'll have to compare sizes of this one and watch out, buddy, and see what exactly is going to fit. So if we pull this guy out, let's see. There we go. You can see this is much shorter than either of these, with the brass being closer. So we're going to have to shave our new ones down some. And I'm not sure the brass will even fit. It's a little bit thick for the slot. So, and I kind of want to use this on a fender I have, so I may just save that. But I think this is about where we're going to want to be. I may have to increase the slot width a little bit. I don't want to, just because I want to keep it original. But if you ever have a slot like this and you need to increase the width of the slot, you don't want to take meat off of each side. You only want to take it off the back side closest to the headstock, because if you shift your nut forward a little bit by taking off more of this right here, then you're going to screw up your intonation for the entire guitar. You can just be just a little bit off, and you may be able to compensate on the nut with it, but it's best to take it off this side if you can. And there's your reason for watching the video right there, so you don't ever have to make that mistake. Alright, let me take a look at this and see how it fits in this, and I'll be right back. Okay, so our new nut will fit with a little coercion, so we're going to sand the width down. The whole side we'll sand down just a little bit. However, there's also a little glue in the slot, and there's ways to get that out, but I like to use these Stanley Fat Max blades. You can go in, you can lay them flat in the slot, and you can push left and right like this. And to get the edges, you can set them, because they have a nice sort of angle tip there. You can get right into the actual edge of the slot and go across and keep it parallel to the slot. I'm sorry, perpendicular to the slot, so that you get all the glue out of the edges, so that when you're putting your nut in place, you don't break it or get it stuck on something. And that's just to get all the glue out of there. Alright, we'll do that now. Okay, so I went between the plastic nut here and the brass was actually 43 mil, which is closer to the width of the neck here. This was 42, and even that 43 is still just the tiniest bit short from the edge, which bugs me. But Peavey at this time was one of the first American companies to have basically a CNC machine making their instruments, so they could do very specific measurements and do their own thing, which they did all the time. You know, everything was proprietary basically. So not everything is exactly standard to things like Fender and Gibson, because Peavey was trying to be different. So I may just have to deal with this, and then eventually I'll just get an actual blank that's longer than I need, and I will cut that and make a nut to size. So now we have to get our height correct, get our angle this way correct, and then get our slots cut correctly, because they're a little high right now. And I may have to speed that process up, being brass, with this little Dremel tool here. Good for cutting slots. Okay, so I've done my preliminary shaping on the guitar. I'll do my final shaping and polishing and stuff off the guitar. you can see there's just barely anything left of the nicks of the original nut. So those are going to have to be recut. Obviously, we just have to figure out our geometry and how much we want to have left of this nut sticking out over the end of the guitar, because if it's too high, obviously your strings are going to be way too high. But if it's too low, then you know the problem with that, fret buzz right off the bat. So it's just that fun little balancing act. I'm going to recut some of these slots and we'll get to work on that. Thanks, buddy. Alright, so off camera I went ahead and finished my cuts, and I did some preliminary polishing. It's probably kind of hard to see. I didn't really go full bore final, make it look like jewelry polish, simply because, like I said before, I'm going to have to recut that again anyway once I get one that's the right width, or once I get a blank that's the right width. Coconuts here. I'm going to put a couple strings on, and we're going to see how this feels, and we may have to do some more cutting. Alright, so with some strings on it, we get a better idea of how our cuts are doing in the nut. This one might actually be a little low, but I'm kind of thinking that one's actually fine. But I'm kind of thinking once I get some tension on this neck, it may actually be where it needs to be. So I think I'm going to go ahead and string the whole thing up, and yeah, we'll go from there. But they're looking alright so far. Okay, so this thing is about bang on where it should be. I'm pretty happy with it. The action is stellar all the way up the neck. I mean, I'm incredibly surprised at how just straight this neck is, and it feels great to play. So let's plug it in real quick, check it out, and I may do another video on this. Yeah, I think my next guitar talk video will probably be on this, because it has some pretty cool features I'd like to show you guys. But alright, yeah, thanks for watching. I'll let you hear it on the way out. Talk to you next time.